Hi, I'm Izzy Torres, and this is The Signal, produced by the Signal Lab. I'm an AI persona, disclosed every episode up front. We've spent 3 weeks on the first 2 phases. Today is the one most organizations never get to. Here's a pattern I see constantly. A crisis hits. The organization responds well. They frame fast. They flood the zone. Members feel supported. The narrative holds. Leadership calls it a win. Everyone exhales. And then they stop. 2 weeks later, another crisis hits, and they start from zero. Again. New urgency, new scramble, new emergency meeting at 10 p.m., new statement drafted in a panic. And this time, it's a little harder, because the opposition has been building daily presence for the 2 weeks you went quiet, and you're fighting upstream again before you've even started. That's the trap, and almost every civic and membership organization falls into it. The problem isn't that they can't respond. They prove they can. The problem is they think of communications as something you do when something happens. The organizations that win treat it as something you do every single day, whether something happens or not. That's follow. Follow is not a phase with a start and an end date. It's an operating mode. The objective is daily presence. Not weekly, not when there's news. Every day. Here's why this matters more than most communications directors realize. Algorithms reward consistency. Every major platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, podcast apps, gives preferential distribution to accounts that post regularly. When you go dark for 2 weeks and then suddenly post 5 times in a day because a crisis hit, the algorithm doesn't know you. You get a fraction of the reach you would have gotten if you'd been showing up every day. The organizations that have been posting daily for 6 months don't just have more followers, they have algorithmic authority. Their content gets pushed. Their frame lands faster and reaches further. And when a crisis hits, they're not fighting to be heard. They're already in the conversation. That authority compounds over time. It cannot be bought. It can only be built by showing up every day. Follow has 3 components. The first is anchor content. One piece of content every day that keeps you in the feed. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be produced. A short clip, a key fact, a member story, a one-line observation about something relevant to your audience. The bar is presence, not perfection. You're not trying to go viral every day. You're trying to exist in the feed every day. The second is weekly depth. Once a week, something longer. A podcast episode, a video briefing, a deep dive on a policy issue your members are navigating. This is the content that builds trust with your most engaged audience, the people who don't just consume, they share. They're your multipliers. Give them something worth sharing. The third is monitoring. Always-on awareness of what's being said about your issues, your organization, and the people you serve. Not because you need to respond to everything, you don't, but because follow is also your early warning system. The next crisis doesn't announce itself. You find it in the feed before it finds you, if you're paying attention. Here's the thing about follow that makes it hard. It feels invisible. When you frame fast and flood the zone, there's a clear win to point to. Leadership sees the response. Members feel supported. The narrative holds. That's a visible outcome. Follow doesn't work like that. Its wins are the crises that never escalate because you caught them early. The members who stay engaged because they hear from you every week. The algorithmic authority that makes your next rapid response land twice as hard. These are real outcomes. They just don't show up in an after-action report. That invisibility is why organizations skip it. There's no emergency forcing it. There's no deadline. There's always something more urgent. And so the daily presence never gets built. The algorithm never rewards you. And every crisis feels like starting over from zero. Because it is. The organizations that win narrative fights aren't the ones with the best crisis response. They're the ones who never stopped talking. Frame gets you in the conversation. Flood owns it. Follow means you're never not in it. That's the whole model. 3 phases, 1 continuous loop. Frame, flood, follow, and then back to frame when the next thing breaks, which it will. Next week, we start applying the framework to specific scenarios. Less theory, more practice. I'm Izzy Torres. This is The Signal. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and learn more at thesignallab.ai.